So for this important discussion, let me introduce our panelists. Sonia Dunlop, CEO, Global Solar Council, welcome. Nguyen Quang Dong, CEO, Coco Solar, welcome Nguyen. Kruno Patel, Executive Manager, Best Technology, Aqua Power, welcome. Eduardo Tobias, Managing Partner, Watt Capital, welcome Eduardo. Janine Jackson, Head of Business Development, South Africa, New Sun Energy, welcome Janine. Adwana Stephen Ochin, CEO, Miale Solar Inventions, welcome. Hadia Kumape, Vice President, Africa Regional Operations Center, JE Solar, welcome Hadia. Okay, welcome all our experts here. So let's discuss some of the key opportunities and the challenges we expect to see in the solar industry in 2025. So Sonia, you have been an influential voice in solar policy advocacy at the International Corporation. So given your leadership at the Global Solar Council, what do you consider to be the biggest opportunities and the challenge for solar energy on a global scale in 2025?
Thank you, and that's such a good question, and I'm delighted to be here with you. My name is Sonia Dunlop. I'm the CEO of the Global Solar Council, the World Solar PV Industry Association, independent, not-for-profit organization working to bring the whole of the solar value chain, every market, every region of the world, from utility scale to the smallest rooftop solar, together at global level. We think a lot about what are the main challenges and also the main opportunities. So obviously, a huge opportunity is how the cost of solar, the fundamental cost of solar, has come down enormously over the last 10, 15 years by almost 90%. And we are seeing the same with storage now, battery storage. And there is such a huge opportunity when you combine the two technologies, as JA Solar does very well, and deploy the two together, whether that be at utility scale or in the smallest off-grid application to power agricultural irrigation in off-grid parts of sub-Saharan Africa. We can do anything when we combine solar and storage. And there are investors now turning away completely from other energy technologies and saying from now on, we are only going to invest in solar plus storage. But there are also many barriers, many challenges, many things that lie in our way that mean that we are not unlocking the full potential of solar plus storage. And they, according to the Global Solar Council, are one, the high cost of finance for solar that remains in many markets around the world, especially developing country markets. Two, the fact that in many markets, there are issues in terms of integrating high volumes of solar and storage into the grid. Flexibility are the solution. Three, we need to mature as an industry and put in place global skills and training standards. And four, we need to come to a global consensus within the industry in terms of trade barriers, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of the supply chain, to build a supply chain that is both resilient and low cost to deliver the low-cost solar development that we want to deliver for the future. And that is what we are working at the Global Solar Council, and I'm happy to say more about all of those if you would like me to.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonia. Thank you, and thank you for the Global Solar Council for the contribution to the global solar industry. Thank you very much. So actually, Sonia highlighted the future of the solar energy, and also she pointed out the challenges, maybe something like the high cost of the financing for the developing countries, and also the grid flexibility and some other issues. Anyway, so my second question is about the future. What do you think of the future development for solar? I mean, until 2030, do you think it will be an increasing trend?
Absolutely. Every single forecast shows that the deployment of solar is going to grow and grow every year. So last year, in 2024, we know that the world installed 600 gigawatts of solar worldwide. Around half of that was in China, and the other half was across the rest of the world. This year, we are hoping for maybe 660 gigawatts, maybe more. It's amazing how often solar, especially when combined with storage, can really overcome all the expectations and is often underestimated. So we are predicting year on year growth. And indeed, we hope that within a couple of years, we will be installing a terawatt a year worldwide. And we think it is not impossible that last year, towards the end of last year, we were at 2 terawatts of total installed capacity. We think it is not impossible that by 2030, we will be at 8 terawatts of total installed capacity. And we at the Global Solar Council have made that our goal. Now, of course, there are a number of different market trends in the industry. One of them is that the global commodity price of solar over the last years has been incredibly low. This has been hurting manufacturers like JA Solar. We know that at the Global Solar Council. And so we are seeing an ever so slight correction of that, with global prices just ever so slightly increasing at the moment. And I think that is perhaps a useful correction to make sure that our manufacturers remain sustainable into the long term. But the overall long-term trend is clear. The prices, the costs of solar and storage will continue to go down, deployment will go up, and some are forecasting that by 2035, solar plus storage could make almost 50% of global energy demand.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonia. Let's see, more than 616 gigawatts this year is a good number, and we will see that maybe in a couple of years it will reach 1 terawatt per year newly added installation. That is a good news for us. I got a question for Mr. Colonel. The Middle East has set ambitious renewable energy targets, with countries like the UAE aiming for 15% clean energy by 2050, and Saudi Arabia targeting 50% renewable energy by 2030. So, Colonel, you have a strong background in energy storage systems at Aqua Power. How do you see the role of energy storage in addressing the opportunities and challenges faced by the solar industry in this year?
Okay, thanks for this question. As per my experience and based on my knowledge available in this specialization in energy storage technology, I'm leading the best department in Aqua Power, where first of all, I would like to say that based on our experience in 2024, we gathered a very good lessons learned, and based on that we observed in 2025 there is a very huge opportunity for the solar plus storage industry. If I will talk about firstly, that is grid stability and reliability. So as we all know that there is a penetration of a solar in various projects and connection to the grid. Now this we all know that the solar power generation is more fluctuating, and because of this fluctuation of our output power, the energy storage will help us to smooth out this fluctuation and also access the energy during the peak hours. If I talk about second important point as a part of the opportunity is maximum solar utilization. Now, based on because of the connected solar plus storage projects, we can utilize and the curtailed power or wasted power from the solar for the charging of the batteries, and that can be utilized during the peak hours. The third important point is participations in energy market. Now, storage allows the solar power producer to sell the electricity when the prices are higher and improving their profitability. And also the advancement in the storage technology, the innovation in the lithium-ion battery chemistry, the sodium-ion, the solid-state battery, that is improving the efficiency, that reducing the cost and making solar plus storage more viable solution. So these are all the opportunities we are looking forward in 2025. At the same time, if I talk about the challenges, There are challenges with respect to the high initial cost of the batteries, although we all know that the falling of the battery prices, but still upfront cost of the storage remains significant, making the financing the key challenges. The second point of the challenges I would like to say that regulatory and policy uncertainty. Many regions still lack of the clear policies or incentives for the energy storage, which little bit slow down the adoption. There is also supply chain constraint, which is also the one of the bigger challenge for the specifically the lithium ion battery, where the raw material, which is lithium and the cobalt, that is associated with the geopolitical risk affect to the storage deployment. So as if I can see the overall impact on the energy storage in 2025, which is the key enabler for solar plus storage, which can lead to this more dispatchable, reliable power source. As the cost decreases, the policies are evolved. The combination of the solar plus storage will become increasingly dominant in the global energy market as well as in the Middle East market.
Okay, excellent point, Colonel. Thank you very much for your feedback.
Thank you.
Actually, we know that Brazil has been a leader in distributed generation. So with policies like net metering, boosting rooftop solar adoption, last year we know that Brazil imported more than 20 gigawatt solar modules. So I got a question for Eduardo. So with your investment experience in the renewable energy sector, particularly in Brazil market, so what financial and regulatory challenges do you see in the solar industry for this year? And what opportunities should the investors focus on in the coming years?
Hi, thank you for the question, Xiaowei. First of all, good day to everyone. It's a pleasure to participate. I'd like to thank Energy Box and JA Solar for the invitation. Our firm, What Capital, is a financial advisory firm dedicated to renewable energy market in Brazil. So in terms of challenges and also opportunities, starting with challenges, I would say, I think macroeconomic-wise, high cost of capital in Brazil, which is unfortunately at the highest level in over a decade. This naturally affects both the cost of debt and also the opportunity cost of investments. We're having also an impact in terms of capex increase due to the raise of importation tax on panels from 9.6 to 25%. So this affects more or less 3 to 4% total capex. We're having also a phasing out of one of the major incentives for renewables, which is a 50% discount on transmission line fees. So for new projects coming out in the following years, they won't have that discount anymore. So this naturally also increases a little bit the cost of production renewables. We're having, I think, as any other country, some grid connection constraints, especially in areas where we have the best PV and wind resources, as those are the areas where the most capacity was built. We are, I would say, finally facing some curtailment issues, especially since 2023. For those who doesn't know, our power matrix is very based on hydropower. And as PV is growing a lot recently, as Xiaowei mentioned, especially DG, distribution generation, and also because of some transmission line constraints, we're seeing curtailment levels rising. But this is also a great opportunity for the deployment of BESS projects, and I'll be talking more in a minute about it. Regulation-wise, the country hasn't yet published the regulation for BESS projects, but it's being worked on and discussed for over a couple of years. So we'll soon see that published, and this will certainly help deploying more projects, more BESS projects. And we also have yet high taxes on BESS investments, on BESS capex, but this is also being worked. So in terms of opportunity, I would say for looking 2025, 2026, the number one opportunity is the growth of utility scale BESS in Brazil. So you have an idea, we have a power matrix that is the largest in Latin America, about 235 gigawatts. but we only have less than 1 GWh of storage installed, and curtailment levels are raising, as I mentioned. So this is a very important need for our country, for our system. We're also seeing increasing investments in hybrid projects. So and I'm not yet saying PV plus storage, but a lot of PV plus wind, which resources are very complementary in many parts of the country, also PV plus hydro, and in the future, in the short term, PV plus storage. We also see an opportunity in the short term for expanding existing PV projects, because it is more cost effective than building new ones, greenfield projects. Also, self-production projects behind the meter, collocating them near the consumers. So this is more cost effective as well, avoiding many of the electrical charges charged by the grid. We're also starting to see in Brazil a data center investment booming. I think this is also happening in different countries, but our Ministry of Economy is about to publish a very bold investment incentive program for data centers. And it's important to say that as a country, we have competitive advantages to produce renewable energy in large scale and at competitive prices. So we do think this is going to be an important industry that's going to grow, and consequently, power demand is going to grow a lot. And I mean, to finish, in the long run, we also see a great opportunity in the production of green ammonia from green hydrogen to replace the very high importation volumes of nitrogen-based fertilizer. For those who doesn't know, Brazil is the fourth biggest consumer of fertilizers in the world, and we import about 85% of it. So this is basically what we're seeing as the outlook.
Okay, thank you very much, Eduardo. Very valuable input from Brazil and from Watt Capital. So next one, actually, we know that Vietnam solar industry has seen tremendous growth in the past years, especially with government incentives and feed-in tariffs driving rooftop solar adoption. However, recent discussion on net metering policies and grid stability concerns have created uncertainty for investors and developers. So here's a question for Nguyen. So from Coco Solar. So Coco Solar is making strides in providing affordable solar solutions to household and business segments in Vietnam. So as we look toward 2025, what are the key challenges and opportunities you foresee in the solar industry, particularly in Vietnam?
Thank you very much for panelists, and thank you very much for Xiaowei Solar and Isabel for the event. And from Vietnam, we are the country who has the biggest electrical network in Southeast Asia, with the capacity on almost 25 gigawatt capacity. And in last 5 years, we see a very booming for solar and wind in Vietnam. Then at this moment, we see our percentage of the renewable energy sources in our network is around 30%, which is, I believe, a very high number already. In almost 5 years, we go from 0 to 30%, which is, I believe, the European and Germany will take more than 10 years to do the same. So our percentage of the capacity of renewable energy in the network is very high. We reach the almost the peak point for the percentage. So normally in the electrical network, you cannot have more than 30% of the renewable energy without the storage. So from the market, we see the biggest challenge is the grid stability. And in Vietnam, after 5 years of developing the renewable energy policy, at this moment, in the beginning of 2025, we have a very good policy already issued by the government for rooftop solar, for solar farm, for offshore wind, for onshore wind, and for nuclear power as the base energy for renewable energy also. So from the view of policy, we don't see a big challenge. We have good policy to support. We have the good financing model, which is the local bank, and a lot of international funding company who heavily invest in the renewable energy in Vietnam. We have the good support in terms of taxes between China and Vietnam. We have zero taxes or zero import tax. So, and at this moment, the cost of investment for solar in Vietnam, as we see, this is the cheapest energy sources compared to any other kind of energy. So the policy view, we don't have challenge. From the investment, we don't have challenge. We have only two biggest issues. The first one is for the grid stability. As we mentioned earlier, our percentage of renewable energy without storage is too high, more than 30%. So we need a lot more storage. Actually, the new decree from government require on the solar project have to install minimum 10% of the storage to connect to the network or net metering also. So the key challenge is for the grid stability. And second is for industrial. Vietnam is one of the biggest manufacturing hub in Southeast Asia, together with Indonesia and Thailand. So we have a lot of big manufacturing. And but the awareness of the benefit of rooftop solar and solar and renewable energy in general is not very aware by the big manufacturing, and especially for the household market in Vietnam, we have 36 million households. So the volume for solar, rooftop solar for the household is very huge. So our market analysis in Vietnam saying we have potentially minimum 30 gigawatt for rooftop solar for the household. But very few percentage of the households now they install the rooftop solar because of the awareness of the people from solar. They still thinking solar at some fancy word and fancy system, and they're not very well aware. So the second challenge is how we promote solar in the market for both household and industrial. And finally, the final challenge we see the trade war between China and US. So where we see the foreign policy from USA now is changing very fast, and Vietnam have the big unbalanced trade between US, like number 4, I believe, the trading unbalanced partner with US. So we may face issue with the taxes and with the foreign policy from USA that may affect to the cost of the solar panel. So that is from our side. There are 3 main challenges, but as we see, with very good support from government, very close relationship between Vietnam and China, then very cheap investment cost, then we believe 2025 until 2030, that will be very big year for solar and renewable energy in Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Nguyen Yin. Very good feedback from Vietnam market. So actually, so across Africa, solar energy adoption has been accelerating fast, particularly in off-grid and commercial applications. However, challenges such as financing constraints and the need of reliable energy storage solutions remain the key concerns. So Stefan, from your perspective, what are the key opportunities and the challenges for solar industry, especially in East Africa?
Yes, thank you. The energy access rate in East Africa is less than 50%. We have a growing population. We have rapid urbanization, and there is an industrial expansion in East Africa that is driving the energy needs. And this makes solar a solution for sustainable development. In addition to this is that one of the key employers within the East Africa community is public transport. In terms of usage of motorbikes, public transport and such, e-mobility provides an opportunity and is creating a demand for solar-powered charging infrastructure and reducing reliance on fuel cost and emissions. Now, the backbone of East Africa is also agriculture. And farmers require cost-effective energy for irrigation, cold storage, and processing. And as such, solar water pumps, refrigeration, agri-processing unit also provide an opportunity for solar system. Another opportunity is clean cooking. The clean cooking access, millions today rely on biomass for cooking, which is leading to health and environmental issues. And as such, solar-powered cooking solutions with battery-supported induction cooking presents an opportunity for this growing market. Additionally, governments and development partners such as World Bank, Africa Development Bank, are increasing their funding within the East African region to accelerate solar adoption for development of microgrids and mini-grids for last-mile connectivity. And more often than not, these solar-powered microgrids are always combined with battery storage to electrify remote and reserved areas. Countries such as Kenya now are just beginning to roll out net metering, also which present an opportunity for solar systems. Now, in as far as challenges are concerned, one of the major challenges, as you had indicated, is financing barriers. So we find that many businesses and households still struggle to get affordable financing for solar projects. This is because of the high interest rate and lack of tailored financing product in this economy. So we find the local banking institutions are having challenges financing solar systems, and there's over-reliance on funding from Europe, which largely is the costs are high. Number two is the unpredictability in the regulatory frameworks. The solar space is just developing in these economies, and so the regulatory framework is uncertain. So you find inconsistent enforcement of regulations. This creates uncertainties for investors and project developers. We also have over-subsidization of the energy cost from governments in some economies, such as Tanzania. And of course, this reduces the financial appeal for solar investment in these economies. We have grid reliability issues. You find that these unstable grids make solar and solar storage integration essential, but this increased the project cost. Lastly, there's overdependence on imported components, and as such, global logistic disruption lead to delays and higher cost. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. A very good feedback from African, a different situation from other countries. Yes. Okay, now let's turn to the topic of emerging market investment. Actually, for the first round about the challenge and opportunity of solars, our guests already mentioned some of the investments. So here I got a question for Eduardo. So with your focus on investment strategies in emerging markets, like in Brazil, So what are the key factors that investors should consider when analyzing solar and energy storage opportunities in that regions? So do you have something to tell us?
Sure, thank you, Xiaowei, for this question. Talking about key factors, I think it's important to highlight the size of the Brazilian market for international investors. We're about the fourth largest market for PV, sometimes even the third, competing with India, and the sixth largest for wind. And sooner or later, the country will see the BESS market booming. I mean, having only less than 1 gigawatt hour of storage in a 200 plus gigawatt market, it's obvious already that this is a requirement for our system. The federal government is aware of that, and they have been working, and they finally announced the first capacity auction dedicated to utility scale BESS projects, and it's going to happen by the end of this year. And so for that, I say for those investors and manufacturers and service providers who are not yet in Brazil, now is the beginning of a new wave of investments. And I do believe first movers will drink fresh water. In many technologies, we start in Brazil a little later, but when we do move, the growth is very steep. Regarding interest rate, I gotta say this is applicable to every player. So it makes producing power more expensive, but the competition is still in equal terms. And both interest rates and power prices, it's a matter that is cyclical. And what I say to investors as a key factor is Brazil is an attractive market as long as you look to invest long term. If you want to make profit in short term, maybe it's not a good moment or a good opportunity. But if you're looking at the long run, it's always a good market, a growing market, and it has all the competitive advantages for renewables, as I mentioned before. I would also like to highlight to not underestimate the momentum of having a climate conference of parties here in Brazil in November. So all the global eyes will be staring at our country and its opportunities. Our current president is very good in marketing, and we're indeed doing a lot in terms of energy transition. We've been doing a lot for decades already, not only PV and wind, but also bioenergy and hydropower. And the Congress, I'd like also to highlight, just approved a consumption tax reform that has been discussed for decades. And starting next year, we're finally going to have a tax system that is based on incremental value added. This means it's going to be much simpler, and it has some advantages in terms of reducing taxes on investments. So, for example, for batteries, we're going to have, starting from January 2027, already a 10% tax reduction for batteries. So this is going to increase competitiveness to invest in storage projects as well in other technologies. And also in these moments where the interest rates are high, it's also a good opportunity for investors to look at acquisition opportunities of operational assets. So we've seen that in the past. When interest rates are lower, we see more greenfield projects being built. But when interest rates are high, we see more M&A activity. So there is room for many opportunities in across different technologies. And I firmly believe that storage is the next big thing in Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eduardo. Yes, actually, Brazil is really a big market, not only for solar, but for storage and for some other renewable energies. So we believe that there will be a good investment environment in Brazil in the future. Okay, and then for South Africa, it's indeed one of the largest and most mature solar markets in Africa. So I got a question for Janine. So as the head of business development at New Sun Energy in South Africa, You have a unique perspective on South African market. How do you assess the investment for solar and energy storage projects in Africa? And what unique strategies or opportunities are emerging in the African market? Dini?
Okay, let's just say that there are approximately 600 million people in Africa that lack access to electricity. And it's also to understand my scope of work is South Africa and Africa, and each need in the country is different. So currently in South Africa, we don't have any load shedding. However, the need for cheaper electricity is becoming immense. And when I understood, I visited Nairobi last week, and I understood that there is a little bit more grid stability in Africa, in Kenya, but the electricity tariff is also a lot higher. So it's also quite country specific. And what I observed in Kenya last week is that there are so many rooftops without solar installation. And my pressing question was, why? Why are people who have roof space losing money? And this highlights the untapped potential that needs to be addressed in Kenya. So with South Africa currently, we transitioned from residential solar, we transitioned to the CNI space, and now I see there's quite a big demand in the energy storage space, where battery capacity as well as containerized solution is becoming quite a market demand. The biggest question and the opportunity lies is in, the challenge lies in the misconception or the misperception in energy is expensive. And funders or companies that are in good standing have access through funders to install solar, to install battery storage. So, in each country, customers, whether it's B2B, commercial, residential, view solar as a grudge payment and not an investor. And my biggest thing is the mindset shift. That businesses or residential people who are in good standing should see this as a valuable investment, and they don't require the capital upfront. There is support, there's PPA agreements, there's wheeling, there is rent to own space, there's subscription models. There's a lot of support. It's just that, education on the opportunities, and if you've got a rooftop space, why are you still losing money? And that's the biggest impact for me in South Africa and Kenya. Just a quick snapshot. Last week when I went to Kenya, also I was at the Intersolar Summit, and there is quite a big opportunity in the Lagos area. There is 20 gigawatts of a local market that has an energy crisis that's been untapped, and EPCs are too scared to tap into this market, and I'm not sure why. So with regards to investments, understanding the investing in solar in the country, it's very important to do your R&D. I prefer to go into country to understand the exact needs at that moment and base my strategy on there. Our strategy is simple and effective. We partner with EPCs and funders, and we work together to bridge the gap. The biggest challenge is changing the perception of the customer in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you very much for your valuable insight. And then I got a question for Harriet. So Harriet, with your role at J Solar in Africa, you are well versed in the solar landscape in the region. So how do you view the investment opportunities and risks in Africa for solar industry? And how can companies like J Solar overcome them?
Thank you, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. Let's start by saying, when you're looking at the RM report, you will see that among the 10 highest risk countries in the world, you have 6 countries from Africa in that, right? So this already speaks by itself. And on the top of that, again, when you're looking at the investment attractiveness of the worldwide, you see Asia and the 7 is Africa. And the reason is very simple, right? When you look at Asia, you have a lot of e-commerce, a lot of tech startup, a lot of renewable and manufacturing growing, right? So the same way looking at Africa, you have a strong agriculture industry, a strong fintech, a strong infrastructure and growing, which is still not good because people used to be very skeptic about the region. So there's a lot of things to be done in Africa per se. And on the top of that, you have a young population, rapid urbanization, untapped resources, considering that we have 80% of Africa population below 35 years old. So you can understand the first resources that I believe is human resources, and we are not utilizing that in the right way. Despite Africa is very resilient to challenges, but Africa is one of the most vulnerable continents, when it comes to sudden change and have the most impact and challenges when we face a bigger challenge like COVID, for instance, when it started back then. And honestly, I doubt that one could say that overcoming risk has been done, but I do believe it's a permanent uncertainty which needs to be monitored frequently. So the risk, first of all, obviously you have the market risk, and I think that really depend on how you select your partners. That's why people are quite selective. That's why EPC don't go to any deals. So you need to be very careful in your partnership and appreciate the political and social environment and find a better way of approaching the market. That obviously is one of them. You have also the regulatory risk, right? The change of regulatory in Africa is very fast, right? You can have a regulatory today, which is even not implemented. So there's a many situations, many countries. Obviously, countries are different, but majority of the countries you have, you need to engage the policymaker, appreciate different upcoming policy under discussion, try to comply earlier, right, to the regulation, despite it has not been applied sometimes, and prepare yourself for it. And, customer awareness is another level of it, which is, as Jenny said, mindset shift, which is a very difficult thing to see in Africa. Capacity building, localized strategy to allow both companies to have a sustainable growth. That is something that we try to monitor day by day. And I do believe Africa has a lot of potential, just in need to have the right approach.
Thank you, Hadi. Thank you, Hadi. A very, very good point, Hadi, about South Africa. Okay, the Middle East is dominated by utility-scale projects. So I got a question for Bruno. So at Aqua Power, you lead the integration of energy storage system with renewable energy project. So how do you see the role of energy storage in driving investment in Middle East? And what are the most promising strategies for developing this market in the next few years? Bruno.
Okay, thanks for this question, Xiao. Okay, so I will start with saying that the Middle East is the key driver or key enabler for all the energy storage related projects in this all around the world. Recently, you may have seen in the news the launching the highest capacity of standalone battery energy storage system, as well as in the Saudi currently the world's highest capacity of the microgrid project is in operation condition, and for the few more are in upcoming pipeline. So the energy storage plays a very crucial role in attracting investment in the Middle East by enabling, I would like to say, the transition to the renewable energy, stabilizing the power grid, and supporting the industrial growth. Apart from that, there are several other key factors like renewable energy integration, then grid stability and the peak shaving, industrial and commercial application. So industries are increasingly adopting the storage to reduce the energy cost and to improve the efficiency and meet the sustainability goals. The most important part is electric vehicle growth in this market. So the rise of the EV adoption is creating demand for charging infrastructure, which require energy storage to manage the load fluctuation. And one more important point is energy access and off-grid solution. So in remote areas, specifically storage solution combined with the renewable provides the reliable electricity, reducing the dependence on the diesel generator. So these are all the key drivers for the key factors for the investment. And apart from that, if I would like to add, the promising strategies for the market development is like here in Middle East market, government can partner with the private investor to de-risk the project through the guarantees, concessional financing, or the joint ventures, which is called as a public-private partnership (PPAs). So there is a PPA model here, which is a very important key driver for energy storage market. Localized manufacturing and supply chain development. This is also in the Saudi region. We can see there is a localized manufacturing. The upcoming battery energy storage plant is started in you can see in the to start manufacturing in the Saudi region. So this establishing the regional battery manufacturing and recycling facilities also can lower the cost and improve the supply chain resilience. So by looking at all these parameters, I think Middle East is poised a very rapid growth in the energy storage and strategic investment in the policy, technology, and the infrastructure will determine the pace of the market development here in the Middle East. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruno. Very good and valuable insight from Middle East. So now let's shift to discussing the technical aspect of solar energy, particularly the requirement and the prospect for solar modules. So we know that Vietnam aims to increase the share of renewable energy in the national energy mix to 15 to 20% by 2030. So Nguyen, Coco Solar specializes in residential solar solutions. From your perspective, what technical requirements for solar module product do you anticipate are needed to meet local market demand?
Thank you very much for your question. And I believe that will be very interesting discussion for the technical. So I am the technical guy actually. So from Vietnam, what we see is from last 5 years, there are a lot of innovation in terms of the technical for PV module. From the beginning of 2019, we have P-type, then we have the mono-type, then we have anti-TOPCon, which is more efficiency, and the capacity and the power of the one solar panel become bigger and bigger. So for the residential, what I see, the most of the home, we don't think it is necessary to be make the solar panel big, because it is more difficult for the installer, more difficult to transportation and more difficult to install, especially for residential with the very small capacity. Normally one house they will install 10 to 20 PV module, which is and the size of the house normally more difficult than the factory. So from my view, it is better for manufacturing, especially for the very good and high quality PV module from J Solar. That should we consider to have the residential specification for PV module, which is make the solar panel a little bit smaller. Now the mainstream for the PV module in Vietnam is 600 watt big for one panel, with the size of with the area like 2.3 square meter, which is very heavy, very big for the installer, for the household. So from my view, it is better to have the smaller PV module specialized for household. For industrial, that's okay, as we have the professional of EPC who can do the installation quite easily. And for the efficiency, we see J Solar do a very good job in terms of apply the anti-TOPCon into the PV module. We are using it from our company more or less 250 megawatt peak from J Solar already. We see a very good efficiency, very good performance, and in the near future, we see the new technology with the perovskite PV module, which can produce cheaper and more efficiency PV module, which should be better also for the residential market. So two key takeaway for the technical requirement. One is we should make the solar panels a little bit smaller for residential, and we should apply the perovskite technology as quick as possible to reduce the weight of solar panel and increase the performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nguyen. You give us a very good suggestion about the rooftop solar modules. Yes, actually, in different countries, they have different requirements. Like for the residential rooftop, it's square meters is less square meters, size is small. So if we can use the small size, make it more flexible, that will be, we call it installation-friendly modules. That will be helpful, I think, in Vietnam market, also in some other markets for rooftop. Okay, thanks. So we know that grid instability is crucial in South Africa. So I got a question for Janine. So as someone overseeing large-scale solar projects in South Africa, you are dealing with both technical and commercial challenges. So what technical requirements do you face when selecting solar modules for large-scale commercial or industrial projects?
Thank you for that question. So I'd like to think that in our industry or in our country, well, in Africa and South Africa, we focus on high efficiency solar modules for maximizing power generation per unit area. The second part is roof space. Firstly, does my customer or my commercial property have enough roof space to be installed? I'm either going to give him a bigger solar panel with the maximum output, or I'm going to recommend a different space. So do we have a huge area to install the solar PV on a ground mount structure, or is there space for us to construct a solar carport? The next part is durability. The modules must be able to withstand harsh weather conditions. For example, Cape Town is a very windy area in South Africa, and the solar panels must be durable to face these weather conditions. The next part is temperature coefficient. Low coefficients to minimize performance loss in high temperatures. And these solar panels also need to sort of throttle down when the demand is low. The next part is wattage. High wattage modules to maximize energy production. And then the degradation rate, where low rates for long-term performance and ROI. The next part is warranty, long-term warranty on panels that are plus minus 25 years for my customer and ensures reliability. Compatibility to ensure that the solar PV aligns with the inverter and the mounting structure. The next point is the mounting structure. As much as the panels have to be durable, the mounting structure has to be strong enough to withhold the winds, especially in Cape Town. So I think in closing, Africa presents an immense potential for solar and energy storage projects. It's just understanding the market and installing the right solution for the right customer and for the right project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janine. Yes, you give us a very good suggestion about the modules like high efficiency. We need to care about the rooftop size and also about the weather condition, the temperature, coefficiency and wattage, and also the mounting structure should be also very important for Africa market. Very good. Thank you. So then I got a question for Stephen. So Miale Solar has been instrumental in deploying innovative solar solutions across Kenya. So Stephen, given your experience in project management and solar technology deployment, what are the key technical challenges you encountered when integrating solar modules into diverse energy landscapes? And how do you see advancement in module technology addressing these challenges in the near future?
Yes, thank you. I think one of the key challenges is the intermittency of solar systems, coupled with unreliability from the grid. And this results to need for storage systems, which sometimes are costly. So trying to balance these against the grid, the cost value addition brings a challenge. Number two is the land use conflicts. So you find that large-scale solar plants, which are largely deployed in urban centers, compete with other infrastructural development. it also competes with agricultural land. So you find that the land use conflict also becomes a challenge in deployment of solar systems. Also within the region, there is still challenges of quality and counterfeit issues, which basically brings down the client's confidence in these solar systems. So you find that with economies, with developing economies such as South Sudan, Somalia, that do not have very strong accreditation partnership, you find that the coming in of counterfeit system also affects the use of solar system and the confidence levels. Right, and of course the solar modules must be able to withstand extreme temperatures, high humidity in some places, dust accumulation, which also downgrade performance over time. And in terms of advancement of the module technology, we see the coming up of bifacial modules, considering the high radiance within the East African countries. You find that bifaciality has significantly helped because of the reflective surfaces. We have also seen the change in technology from the P-type now to the N-type TOPCon, resulting to high efficiency. Additionally, we have seen the coming up of floating solar systems, as an indicated that land use conflict is an issue. And as such, with the floating system, especially in agricultural lands that use dams, the floating solar systems basically result to productive use of space. Additionally, advancement in AI and IoT in operation and maintenance are resulting to increase in modules lifespan, optimization of energy use, and of course reduction in operational cost. Yes, so the advantages supersedes the challenges, and this present an opportunity for growth within the East African community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And yes, you mentioned that the challenge like grid and land use and quality for solar modules and temperature issues, and also, of course, there are a lot of advancement in African market, like now for Africa maybe prefer in bifacial modules and from transfer from P to N type modules, and also we have a lot of floating applications. It's a good thing. So thanks again. So actually, JE Solar has a growing presence in major African markets, including South Africa, Morocco, Nigeria, and Kenya, reinforces its commitment to advancing sustainability and empowering a greener, brighter future in Africa. So I got a question for Hadi. Hadi, at JE Solar, you are the forefront of high-performance solar technology. What are the current technical advancements in solar modules that are driving market demand? Hadi.
Well, thank you again. This question may seem simple to answer, but it's actually quite complex. It's directly tied to the first topic, risk mitigation. You see, most leading industry players, partners that we work with, they pay very close attention to JE Solar emerging technology, as well as the industry new technology like AGT, perovskite, BCA, and all the rest. Even if they are not yet mature, right, in the global market, they still pay attention to it. But since today business relies really on the technology of yesterday, because every technology we are using today has been approved for long. So we can see that our customers are quite cautious in approaching or adopting sometimes new technology. But together with the customer and our partner, we focus on adopting the most, I would call it, reliable, mature technologies such as TOPCon bifacial, which have shown a lot of, let's say, results in the continent, which continue to increase efficiency day by day. And our anti-dust resistant panel that we have actually introduced to the market, which has got a big welcome, especially in an area like a desert area. It's our floating solar panel. We have already installed a couple of them in Ghana, I think around 4 megawatts, and our battery storage solution. So today we have seen a lot of, let's say, combination of technology. But at the end of the day, what I want to pull out as keyword is efficiency, reliable, robust, not necessarily how big is the panels. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Hadia. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the third question. So, about the emerging trend and the technology in the integration of solar and storage systems, Sonia. So from your perspective, what trend are you seeing in the integration of solar and storage technology, globally?
Solar and storage are a match made in heaven. So if you look at the different market segments, that means the different ways of deploying solar. We are seeing at utility scale, at large scale solar farms, solar and storage being deployed together, which allows us to be smarter in terms of when and how we inject into the grid, which allows us to benefit from more revenue stacking, and which allows us to have higher capture rates, which means we can sell our power into the grid when prices in the wholesale market are higher. And that is really important. It also, at large scale, allows us to provide firmer power, so closer, follow demand more closely, and provide just to the wholesale market, but also to corporate power consumers. Many corporate power consumers around the world, from Google, from Microsoft, from Apple, but many others are now buying electricity from renewable sources, moving towards doing that for every hour of the day. And so we can do that with solar and storage. Yeah. Then in terms of rooftop solar, both commercial and residential rooftop solar, behind the meter, self-consumption solar, storage allows us to really maximize self-consumption and really be an asset to the grid. We will soon be publishing some modeling that in many countries, if you install solar plus storage and maximize electrification behind the meter, so in houses, in buildings, and so on, then the grid operator can make savings of 50% on their grid network and their grid upgrade costs. And then there's the off-grid market, for applications that are not currently connected to the grid, and where bringing electricity for the first time is absolutely transformational. We think, with analysis done by GOGLA, the Global Off-Grid Solar Industry Association, that 560 million people around the world, almost all in sub-Saharan Africa, are benefiting from off-grid, small-scale, very small-scale solar plus storage. And so that is really transformational there, allowing businesses to have electricity for the first time, allowing them to be more productive, to sell more product in more hours of the day. So that is really amazing as well. But of course, we need to be responsible and mature as an industry and always be driving for quality. We need to be delivering quality and maximum performance. And JA Solar is, of course, one of the leaders in this. And that is also why we, as the Global Solar Council, and we encourage all companies, JA Solar and others, to get involved in this. That is why we have launched the Global Solar Training Standards Initiative, which will cover first solar PV and then storage, to make sure that the people who are installing these technologies are properly trained with basic technical training and basic health and safety training, so that the quality of projects is consistent, and so that we are keeping the 7 million people who work in the industry worldwide, 7 million people, we are looking after them, training them, and developing their skills for the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonia. Yes, actually, you give us a very deep analysis for the solar plus storage and the future of the solar plus storage. So from your speech, we can see that it's really a good, a bright future for solar plus storage will happen everywhere globally for the utility, rooftop, CNI, even included the off-grid. And also, Ms. Sonia gave us some very important indication about the quality that what JE Solar have made. So thank you very much, Sonia. Thank you. So energy storage is becoming a key focus area in the Middle East. So Colonel, you have extensive experience in integration of battery storage systems with renewable energy projects. How do you see the innovations in energy storage enhancing the sustainability and reliability of solar energy system?
Okay. First of all, thanks for this question because the innovation is my key subject and I have a very long experience in this area. So to answer the question, specifically battery energy storage system, the innovation is playing a very critical role enhancing the scalability and the reliability of the solar energy system by addressing the key challenges of the intermittency, grid stability, and cost efficiency. So to start with, first, enhancing scalability, as we all know that the higher energy density batteries are coming up. We have started earlier with the battery energy storage plant with the 20 feet container, 1 megawatt hour. Nowadays, we are looking at around 7 to 8 megawatt hour battery container storage system within a 20 feet container. Second point is modular and scalable storage system. So now all these containerized battery energy storage system allow flexible development, supporting the small scale and utility scale projects. Then at the same time, I will talk about the improving the reliability of the overall system. So the various innovation taking place with respect to the longer battery lifespan and its performance. The new chemistry, like there is a continuously improvement in LFP chemistry technology as well as in the sodium ion type of the battery, which extend the battery cycle life and reducing the degradation and the maintenance cost. Then if we talk about the AI and predictive maintenance, now AI-driven energy management system predict the failures and optimize the battery usage, reducing the downtime and enhancing the grid resiliences. That is the third point related to, and the last point, which is most important with respect to the energy storage market, is the cost reduction and efficiency. So there are some innovations going around the second usage of the second life of battery utilization, then faster charging and discharging possibilities, and advanced thermal management. So innovation in the cooling and heating system, improving the battery efficiency, as well as the longevity and specifically extreme conditions like in Middle East region. So by looking at with these all innovations, the energy storage market is making solar power more viable for 24/7 energy supply, enabling the widespread adoption and grid independence possibilities. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bruno. Very, very great insight. So in Africa, with grid instability and frequent power outage, many businesses are turning to solar plus storage solutions to ensure energy security and reduce reliance on grid. So JA Solar has shipped its first Blue Planet 2.32 megawatt-hour CNI energy storage system in Kenya. So I got a question for Stefan. So with Miale Solar at the forefront of the deploying solar and storage technologies in East Africa, what emerging storage technologies or business models do you believe will have the biggest impact on accelerating solar adoption?
Yes, thank you. The emerging business models that are emerging, and I'll take a case point of Miale Solar. Miale Solar is one of the leading solar companies in the East African region. And one of the business models that is growing is what we term energy as a service, where the the off-takers are not investing. They're not investing. They're not putting capex into these systems, and entities like Miale Solar basically undertake the organize for the financing and of course the engineering, procurement, and construction of these solar systems. Additionally, we are also having policy from governments where governments today are not investing in some of these systems and are making them more performance-based, where they allocate licenses to private entities that develop microgrids and mini-grids to fast-track energy access. Then also we are also seeing adoption of leasing and power purchase agreements, both from government side and also from the private sector, as I had indicated, the energy as a service. Now, in as far as the promising technologies in solar and storage systems are concerned, you find that as the solar penetration increases, if you look at the infrastructure, especially if you take into economies such as Kenya, which is largely built on hydro, geothermal plants, and hydro geothermal plants and HF4 diesel power plants, you find that with the distributed systems, there is an opportunity for frequency stabilization using these systems. There's opportunity for virtual power plants. There's opportunity for combination of using solar PV in combination with hybrid plants. We have seen that 2 weeks ago I was in Zambia, where we are doing a plant, what the Zambian government are calling microgens, where we have a combination of solar PV and hydros to basically reduce the utilization of dams which are being affected by the climate change. Yes, we have the next generation storage systems. We are proud to be the pioneer in Africa for JA Solar. And we believe that the storage system, this is going to grow a lot. We have significant orders now coming up within this space to drive clean cooking initiatives, power stability, and of course, as these distributed systems grows, then we'll see opportunities in frequency stabilization and virtual power plants to replace the HFO plants. Yeah. Then, of course, lastly, we have, as I indicated, the e-mobility and the redevelopment of infrastructure to drive e-mobility. The storage system presents an opportunity for driving this. Yeah, so these business models and promising technologies in solar and storage solution present an immense opportunity within the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. So my last question is for Hadia. So Hadia, at JA Solar, you are working closely with both solar and storage technologies. So what advancements in solar and storage integration do you see in terms of system efficiency and cost effectiveness in Africa?
Well, I mean, thank you for the question. Again, let's keep in mind the decarbonized goal, right? Which is a key factor. We have also seen that many coal plants need to be decommissioned in the continent. We also observed that many gas plants lack a sustainable gas supply. Additionally, with the continent low grid coverage, numbers of let's say, grid need to be rebuilt, which actually creates make that the solar combined with PV become quite attractive. And we have actually appreciated that value with many customers. And if we put into consideration not only the CapEx, but the OpEx, we find out at last that the combination of solar and PV is actually a right combination for the continent. First of all, it's quick, it's reliable, and the maintenance are quite low. So unfortunately, in the continent, as we noticed, the mindset people used to gas, they used to hydro, even though today many hydro dams are low in water, which creates a challenge. So we still need to think about how we need to address this in a very short period of time. And for now, we don't see other solutions which are quite reliable if it's not BSS plus PV. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadia. So thank you very much for your time, all our guests and experts here. Thank you. And as we've seen that the solar and energy storage sectors are rapidly evolving, and there are significant opportunities as well as challenges ahead. So to everyone in the audience, we hope this session can give you the valuable insight and inspiration to drive forward the clean energy transition. With that, I'd like to pass the stage back to our event host, Emma. Emma, over to you.